Hello! Welcome to the So You Want to Be a Marine Biologist podcast, where we dive into the connection between the land, the sea, and us. Here, field stories reign supreme and life experiences are divulged. I'm your host, Kara Muzia. Let's dive into today's episode. Have you heard about my free program, Back to Nature? Getting outside is vital to our health and the health of our planet. The cool part is, to reap the benefits, you only need a few minutes a day. This course is designed to be fun and easy to do, and perhaps spark an adventure or two. Click the link in the show notes to get started today, or visit karagracemuzia.com. Hello, mermaids, pirates, ocean lovers, and land lubbers. Welcome to today's show. Question: why did the oyster leave the party early? He pulled a muscle. What kind of jacket do you wear on a hike? A trailblazer. Holy cow, it's been nearly 2 years since we published a new episode, and I am so excited to say we're back. For the curious, I thought I'd share a little bit about what I've been up to. I've been going through my own personal journey as well as raising a family, and I've also had the honor and privilege of coaching and mentoring people along their own paths, which wasn't a planned pivot, but I found that not only am I good at it, but I so very much enjoy it, and I'm making a positive impact in people's lives. It's been really, really gratifying. So for today's episode, there are two goals. The first is to let you know what to expect out of this next season of the podcast. And number two, to formally introduce myself and share a little bit about my story. Like most folks, I've had a hard time talking about myself. And I've realized that if I like hearing other people's stories so much, then at the very least, the listeners of this show may like to know a little bit more about me. Something I haven't been super forthcoming on the podcast before, other than maybe my episode with my husband and any field stories that I've shared. So I'm going to share a little bit more today. So for today, we are going to take it back to March 2018. It was a Monday and it felt like one. I was heading into work after a weekend paddling in the backcountry of the 10,000 Islands in Everglades National Park. And while the trip itself had certainly had its own adventures, there was something in the air. Maybe it was the wilderness, the untouched, unspoiled areas, the community of our 8 little person paddle troupe that reignited something in my soul. Walking into work, a job that I had worked hard for and had enjoyed, suddenly felt like a burden, a had to, a should do. This wasn't it. I wanted to do more. My firstborn, a beautiful, perfect baby girl, came into the world 7 months later. I had a very active pregnancy, as you can tell, and I left my job knowing that my life would never be the same. I could see the disconnection between people on the planet that we live on, and that's why I went into science and marine biology in the first place. I wanted to help, and I've had a lot of amazing experiences on the job. I've shared some of them already on the podcast, but probably my favorite part of each role I've had was the people. I worked with some of the kindest, smartest, most talented individuals, and I also got to interact with the public often. That was one of the best parts. I saw the way people lit up when I spoke to them about sea turtles, how they glowed when they learned that hatchlings will wait until night to leave the nest and make their way to the ocean. Usually, this is nature after all. We did have nests that hatched during the day. I saw the head tilt, the childlike curiosity come to life when people learned how oysters, aquaculture and wild caught alike, can filter up to 50 gallons of water a day. That's an entire bathtub, providing essential ecosystem services. To those listening, these little factoids sparked a connection between where they stood now and the wilder, more authentic part of themselves. That is why I started the So You Want to Be a Marine Biologist podcast. To spread that glow, that awareness, that connection, to share that there isn't one single path to follow to make an impact or to create a meaningful life. The right path is the one that you choose. And we're all kind of making it up as we go along. Our world has increasingly put us in boxes, cars, offices, rooms, when our bodies were designed and wired to be in connection with the natural world around us. This is physical, yes, actually getting outside. It can be spiritual, a cellular homecoming and remembering of how we lived for millennia. It's also incredibly practical. We live in an era where dis-ease and discontentment is rampant. The common thread here is the further we've gotten from our roots, the more we feel scrambled in trying to get back to them. Science seeks to prove what nature already knows, and we are nature. We already know that sitting outside for 20 minutes feels good, or the exhilaration of being caught in a rainstorm, and if you've forgotten this feeling, watch children dance in the rain. You'll remember real fast. Now science backs this up. It's about knowing where your food comes from and having a connection to the land that you live on, not consistently eating out of packages purchased inside another box of a grocery store, but actually shaking a farmer's hand or trying your own at raising your food. It's about being aware of the seasons of where you live and what that really looks and feels like. It's different everywhere. It's about growing things as nature intended, not just because that's what you put in your body to feel good, but also because growing things in right relationship without herbicides, pesticides, drugs, and more is better for our health, the health of the land that drains into the rivers, which feeds the oceans, that supplies our rainfall, that waters our food sources, and us. It's all connected. It's something that I've known for a long time. I've tried to be as conscious as possible about where my food comes from, how it was raised, and how it fuels or hinders my body. And how when we build homes, it affects not just the immediate wildlife of the property, but the watersheds of the area. When it rains, the water flows off of the house and any hardscape into the landscape around it. In close enough proximity or enough concrete around, and the runoff flows into the seascape of the surrounding water bodies. It's one of the many reasons why I've encouraged my yard to resemble a jungle rather than a curated lawn. I started a paddle tour company taking people out on our local waterways, having a great time and learning about not only the cool critters that call this place home, but also where and how the water flow affects us all. My second baby girl came into the world in 2020, and when she turned 1, I had a choice to make: keep the paddle tour company or the podcast. More than anything, I wanted to be home with my children, and so I closed the paddle business. While it was fun, and to be totally honest, made more money than the podcast did, it didn't fill my cup up the way I wanted, and long-term I had faith in this online platform that I had been building. This faith grew when I kept hearing from listeners who loved the show, who wanted to cultivate a career of meaning, to help the oceans in whatever way they could. I created my signature program, Steer Your Course, and one-on-one programs to help people get the results that they want, figuring out what a meaningful life really means for them, reducing the anxiety they had about the choices they've already made and then the ones that they will make in the future. And we also worked on connecting them to the natural world around us. In doing so, I've gone through my own journey, diving into ancient stories and myths, shamanic wisdom, herbalism, not as an alternative medicine, but as the original. I've also been diving into what career changes really look like, time management, money, psychology, and the science behind it all. What keeps coming up for me is how everything, and I do mean everything, is connected. How the people who are in certain roles drive the policy that affects what can be grown or harvested or built in the lands that sheds into our water bodies and feeds the wildlife, and ultimately is what we put into our own bodies through food, air, or water. It's connected because what we purchase in the store in our hometown affects people from all over the world, and how one simple act can change the trajectory of a person's life or the lives of those in their community. So that is the next iteration of the So You Want to Be a Marine Biologist podcast, exploring the reciprocity between land and sea, us and the 4.5 billion-year-old organism we live on, Earth. The common thread of the podcast has always been people following their purpose, their own curiosity in life, and creating their own path. And this show will continue to do that. You can be an accountant and have meaning in your life. You can live in a landlocked state and still have a relationship with the ocean. You can write and farm and dance and live, and in doing so, you'll be creating a better world. In this next season of the show, we'll hear from the people who are working in the ocean and on the land, creating their life and shaping our world as they go. Welcome aboard. Have you ever wanted to explore the underwater realm but are unsure about how to get dive certified? I've got you covered. With efficiency and a dash of humor, my ebook, Scuba for Beginners, takes what you need to know to get in the water and distills it down to easily digestible chunks. In it, I cover the gear you need to actually get dive certified, decode which dive agency is best for you, and the number one thing to look out for when you're getting certified. As an added bonus, the guide includes tutorials on skills you'll learn during the certification process and the secret to getting certified in 2 different places. Scuba for Beginners will leave you confident in how to become certified and ready to dive in. Scuba for Beginners is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and my website, KaraMuzia.com. Just click the link in the show notes and get started today. Thank you for listening to today's show. I'd love to hear any insight you've gleaned. Leave a comment in the show notes or send me an email over at KaraMuzia.com. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a review and, of course, share with your friends. If you want more resources for creating a life of purpose and meaning, plus personal insight from me that I just don't share anywhere else, join me at KaraMuzia.com and sign up for email updates. Keep after your dreams and making waves in your community. One person can make a difference. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll catch you next time on the So You Want to Be a Marine Biologist podcast.